yet, but we are recording now.
All right. Chair Sykes isn't here, so I guess I'll be running the meeting. So we'd like to call the meeting to order. It's 4:08. First item of business. Well, do we want to do introductions? Or are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay, I'm good. The first item agenda is the minutes. If everybody has a chance to read them, there was some changes done in yellow.
I think I shared my comments with Valerie and she made those changes in the redacted version in front of us. So I'd make a motion to approve the redacted version or the edited version.
I will second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. All right, minutes have been approved. First item of business is the community initiated project request on the congressional spending and Nick Ducote Consulting.
Hello,
Is that-
can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. So Ronan and myself, with help from Jared and Matt, were able to put together two community initiated project grant requests through the federal process. Just as a reminder, these are federal earmarks in the budget. So it has to go through a very lengthy process, and I'll touch on that at the end. But I thought I would just touch on some high notes on what the projects are. They're essentially exactly what we talked about last month. So there were really no changes or revisions there. But I'll go over it at a high level, talk about just the process, and then open it up to any questions you guys might have about the projects or the process. So the first one is the Morrow County New Water System Feasibility Project. And the budget is just over $2 million. I reduced the budget a little bit compared to last year based on the quotes and pricing that Aaron Palmquist and I had gotten for the City of Irrigan's test well analysis project that they're doing. It's pretty similar to what we would want to do for a new system. So I dropped that by a couple $100,000 just to make it a little more competitive and fit with the prices we're seeing. So this description and the idea is basically to, I think this is a good way to put it, identify, organize, and prepare a community-supported consensus cluster for development of a new public drinking water system. So the idea isn't that this is something that will be forced on a neighborhood or a community or a cluster of homes. The intention is very much to continue through the public outreach and engagement process and find folks in a cluster of folks who want to do this, who would like to try to create a new water system. And, obviously that requires a lot of work up front, from the feasibility to the engineering, to the test wells, to the testing of the test wells, development of all the legal and regulatory requirements, and then, also establishing whatever this entity is that might run a new water system. So it's written in a way that can be a little flexible depending on what the consensus is and how many homes are identified. There's really so many ways it can go, but it can't go anywhere if we don't try to take a step forward and just ask, is there a group of people who wants to try to do this, and explain that to them and kind of move forward from there. So this would be money to do that. After the roadmap project is over, those funds are expended, and Ronan and I really wanted to come up with some ideas to just keep things rolling so that we're not just at a standstill. Any questions on that one?
I just have a question, if that's okay. You're looking at projects, I assume, other than West Glen, or is West Glen part of this, looking for another pilot project?
I mean, I guess it would only apply to West Glen if the extension from Boardman is somehow not feasible or doesn't move forward. I mean, so this would be um, for a new system. So if there's an existing extension of a system, that would be a different kind of project. So this would be a new entity, whatever it might be called, the uh, North Morrow County, water district or whatever it happens to be.
Okay, so the operative word in that first paragraph is for development of a new public drinking water system, not.
Yes.
Okay, so, okay, got it. Thank you.
Are these projects that you wrote, are they available anywhere to read the whole?
This
The
is,
whole application is in the packet.
Oh, that's
The
it.
letters of
That's just that
support, the
little.
budget, and the application.
Okay,
did we get the letters of
I don't
support?
think we got those or the,
I only put the,
One pager.
yeah,
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I sent it to Matt and Jared, so they have
Yeah,
those.
we do have it. We can send them to you.
yeah, especially the budget.
Mhm.
Actually, can you pull the budget up so we can see it?
Sure. Give me 1 second.
And while you're doing that, is there a possibility that it's cost waiver eligible?
Yeah, most likely it will be cost waiver eligible. It has to do with the location. So Morrow County was eligible countywide. The city of Oregon was eligible. So um, we won't know for sure until after we get the money when they write the rules. But
Does that mean?
Is that income based?
there's
cost
like
eligible?
7 different criteria. Some of it is like SNAP program percentages. I mean, there's all kind of different criteria that you can, if you meet any one of the 7 or so, then you're
So it depends on the
eligible for a
neighborhood
waiver.
and the people serving. Is that right? Sorry, I talked over you. I was answering a question. So is that correct, Nick, that the waiver eligibility is for the local match and it depends on the neighborhood that the project would serve? Or is it a blanket Morrow County is cost waiver eligible?
It's really going to depend on, they don't, for the next project, it will be income based on who is benefited, income qualified based on who's benefited. For this one, they may make us go to that micro level, but I don't think they will because the waivers
Okay.
are like it's census information. So unless we were able to get, census level data from a neighborhood, which you usually just don't have access to that kind of small level of data for confidentiality reasons. Um, so I'm fairly certain, but of course, like I said, you can't know until they write the rules, that it would be eligible under one of their criteria.
Okay, and we wouldn't find out until after it's submitted or after it's awarded?
So yeah, I mean, it has to be written into the budget. So you have the final commitment, we get the money, and then the agency has 90 days to write the rules for the program that Congress told them they have to spend money out of. And
I see. Okay.
it's all the way at the end of a 2-year wait would be when we find out some of those details.
Okay.
I do have the budget up. Let me see here. See if I have sharing privileges that come through.
It's getting there, yeah.
Wait, this is the wrong one. This is the next one. Sorry about that. So that's the budget breakdown. And Ronan and I did some iterations back and forth on this.
Nick, can you enlarge that so we can see it? Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Is that better?
It's getting better.
All right. Let me see if I can go to like a full screen view or something. There's so many things on my window, I can hardly see everything.
I think we can see it. I'm the farthest away.
Lisa said she can see it and she's the farthest away, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll stop messing with it. And when it comes down to when we actually apply for this, if the facts or the details on the ground change, just like they did with CDS Phase 2 when we did the technical correction, you're allowed a good bit of flexibility to move things around. But this would be the basic concept of going from identifying a cluster of people who consent to this to verifying feasibility, designing the system, doing the test wells, and then setting up the entity.
So on this budget, Nick, how many homes do you think this covers?
It's impossible to know without identifying the cluster because the further away the homes are, the more money it's going to take per connection. So the closer
They're spread out.
the further spread out they are, the more it takes to get water to all those homes. So it's just going to depend on, ideally, maybe there could be 3 or 4 different clusters and of different varieties and, but we don't know yet what it might actually look like where we try to put this.
So Ronan or Nick, would we use those focus areas that are in the roadmap project? I think there are 4 or 5 in 4 or 5 in Morrow County and then 7 or 8 in Umatilla County. Would that be the basis, do you think, for starting the analysis?
Yeah, we'd focus on the Morrow County ones, not the Umatilla
but
County ones.
In the roadmap project, GSI has within the exempt well locations, they've created, I think it's 5 subsets of FA or focused areas.
Yeah, that would be the hope unless no one wants to do this in those areas. I mean, that's the caveat to everything is, we kind of have a priority list, but ultimately it takes the people on the ground saying, yes, we want this to move forward with it. And if those people in those areas don't want this, then there's only so much we can do.
And do you think the rest of the group understands that this process, so you've submitted this on behalf of the CWC, and then if Congress approves it, then it comes back to the CWC to make an application to one of the federal agencies?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That's how we did the roadmap project.
When you say one of the federal agencies, what are you saying there?
So
It depends what agency funds this. It'll be
the new water system one would go through EPA. The rural residential nitrate pilot project would go through HUD.
Oh, okay. Did that say that here?
No, I think you talked about that before because the HUD one was qualified by the
creative way to.
Yeah, they were gonna try to run it through the house, quote unquote.
It's when I talked about accounts, that's what it meant. Like when they send out the guidance, each account of which essentially houses types of eligible projects are run through specific agencies. So we apply to the legislatures, we say, here's the bucket we think this fits in, and then it gets kicked to a specific subcommittee at the federal level. And then it goes, when Congress funds it, they fund it through the budget of that agency.
And that 2 years window that you said, is that when they approve it? Or
do we want to jump past the second project description and talk about the process? Or do we, I can do that. Okay. So, right, we submitted it at the end of February. If you go down to the next steps, I'm just going to go over those on page 2 and 3. But so the community initiated project requests go to the local Senate offices, which is uh, Andrew Cutler.
Greenway.
These are our contact people with that. Um, and then it goes a level higher to statewide to the Senate offices, and all of the statewide staff comment. Um, from what I can tell, there are some projects that move forward from there. There's some that don't move forward from there. Um, the the aides will also reach out to some of the folks on the subcommittee, and you could get questions back about certain eligibility criteria or something. They could say, well, this doesn't, we talked to the folks about your project, this doesn't quite fit, and then we need you to revise this or change this or reduce your budget. So there can be some back and forth. But when it makes it out of that process from our state to state senators, then it goes to federal legislative subcommittee. So this is not even the committee, it's a subcommittee of the folks that are putting fiscal year 27's budget together. So then amongst that staff, there can also be horse trading and cuts and negotiating, and we'll support your project if you support this one over here, but we don't have enough money for that one, so that one's got to get kicked out. So there's all that. Then the projects move from subcommittee to committee, and then the committee is the one that puts forward that final federal budget bill for certain agencies. From there, it can go a lot of different ways. This last year, they did something called minibus bills instead of omnibus bills. So typically, they pass all the budgets for the whole government all at once, and it's just one big giant bill. That's what they've done in a few years. Last fiscal year, they just did a continuing resolution. So when they do a continuing resolution, all of this goes away. All of the budget changes in the last year, everything disappears. All the work the subcommittees does disappears, and they just refund the last budget at a smaller percentage. So that happened last fiscal year, and they kicked some projects from fiscal year 26 to fiscal year 27. And then finally this year, or I'm sorry, from 25 to 26. And then for fiscal year 26, they actually passed the minibus bills. So there were some earmarks that did get funded in this last cycle. And then the president has to sign the budget as passed. And then it's gone through the legislative process, it's gone through the executive, it's been signed, then it gets sent to the executive agencies to actually administer the funds and distribute the funds. But they have 90 days from when Congress says, here's a list of projects and all the money you need to give to these people. They have 90 days to write the rules for that money, and then you have to apply for it. So there is a grant application, but it's not competitive. You'll get it as long as you follow all the rules and you set everything up the way they want it set up.
So the final product comes in when?
When all that happens.
So
And
there's no
uh,
date.
no. It totally is
We're on
up to the
page 3.
whims of the federal government on when they would like to pass the budget, if at all.
But the good news, I mean, it is a good way to get a lot of money without a lot of strings attached. Or there are strings that they're catered to your project. And I mean that in the best way, like not in a bad way, but
Okay.
Do we want to go over the rural residential project too and look at that budget?
Yes, please.
Yes.
I also just emailed you guys the copies of the full applications.
Oops. Let me know if that's visible. Oh my gosh. That's what I get for trying to do this on my laptop, thinking it would be easier. Okay. All right, here we go. So the majority of this money, and it's 1.45 million, the vast majority is dedicated to inspections of homes and upgrades for those homes. And again, the number of homes, and Ronan can go into a little more detail. I think his team had kind of just gotten some of the details on what sort of upgrades might be feasible and then how much those might cost. And then obviously the solutions that cost more mean you can help less people, right? So there's also that level of variability where it's not going to be a one size fits all solution, but that's where we have the idea is to have this team, kind of a two-phase technical team that an engineering and maybe a well inspector or plumber go out phase two, and then they make a recommendation. And then a contractor, a plumber, or if there's another contractor that has to be involved would come out. They would coordinate with the technical team and work to scope out whatever the improvement was, and then actually get that installed, and then make sure through all that process, it's grant eligible and all the right paperwork is filed and all that sort of stuff.
And this one was more geared toward like the whole house filters? Is that my understanding?
Mhm.
And Ronan, I saw you popped in a second ago. I think there were maybe two or three solutions that you had mentioned.
Yeah, we kind of based the potential range of costs off of similar solutions that OHA is already putting out there with the in-home units, right? Could be a below the sink system, or it could be a sort of a packaged little system that might be suitable for one or two homes, a couple of shared systems between, 1 to 3 homes, something like that. So we looked at kind of a range of costs, and we assumed, at least for budgeting purposes here, that it might take, $5,000 to $10,000 to go through the assessment and planning design there under that inspections of homes task, and then, anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000, say, for installing one of these systems or whatever is appropriate for that setting and conditions. So we were estimating, depending on the range of potential solutions, you could serve anywhere from 30, 40 to 80 homes, kind of just depending on the conditions that are.
Wow.
It's really, because this becomes like correct me if I'm wrong, but the personalized version for people who aren't going to meet some of the other criteria, meaning closer to a municipal system or in a group, but we could build its own independent system. This would be like the people who are a little further removed,
Individual.
and individualized.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a pilot. It's using HUD funds as well, which also is hence the creativity on this. So being able to actually improve somebody's property.
Would this include any of the septic that would have to be upgraded to?
Yeah, depending on the particular treatment approach, it could include, modifications or some setup for dealing with the residual, whether that's making some changes or improvements for the septic system itself, or some kind of storage and haul. Those have to be determined kind of on a case by case basis, and that's where that inspection and design phase comes in.
So it could fund some improvements to the septic system if that was linked to the water quality.
Probably so. I would think so. It's not unlike the other fund, it's not limited to water infrastructure.
Okay.
It's just
All right.
Private home improvements essentially.
Okay.
And I think too, another kind of larger point for this one is the idea is to identify, the more of these the technical team goes in and they look at all of the problems and the issues, and then they come up with a solution, and then we test the solution. If we see if it works, like that's how you get reproducibility, right? And we find out what works, what doesn't work, and then if we find some stuff that works, we get some good costs, and then we have an idea of, okay, what if we want to roll this out to 200 homes? What's it going to cost? And then we get closer to being able to pitch that sort of thing at the, state or federal level to a broader solution.
What was your question, Lisa?
So my question was about putting the filter on the home and then impacting the size of the septic, the recycling, which creates a bigger problem with septic, more pump out, more cost. That was my question about
Tracking there now. Okay.
quantity,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what your son's dealing with, right?
Yeah, like our septic wouldn't, if we put a whole house on, there's no way we just don't have enough drain fields. We don't have enough capacity to hold that.
I think that's a situation where depending on the concentrations and things that you're seeing at that particular house's source, and that system may not be applicable or appropriate for that setting, where we know that would impact the septic, and then we'd have to come up with a different option or solution from that situation.
I guess the second question that I have is if there is a septic system that has problems and we're having to make improvements to a septic anyway for the filter component, will those costs be covered with this money? I
think, Nick, that the funding source wouldn't restrict you from doing that, right? It's just sort of like depends on, the cost for making that septic system improvement, enhancement, whatever it might be, maybe not a cost-effective approach. And so you have to kind of weigh that as part of the sort of the design solution process.
Yeah, I think if we, if we can thread the needle and get the money committed, then I think most of the power is in the consortium's hand to kind of define the program. Do you want to tackle septic? Does it need to be sometimes something that is handled together? Maybe we just start with a pilot project. We start with like 3 homes and just kind of see how crazy it gets when we get in there, and how, we end up with $100,000 solution is the feasible solution. Then it's not very feasible, right? So, I mean, all of this is a little bit of shooting in the dark, but when you do that, you get a little bit closer every time. The more data we get, the more research we do, the more feasibility, the more homes we go into, the more different septic tank and well, setups that we go into, the closer we can get to, figuring it out. That's at least my hope.
And maybe the other way to think about it too is if, depending on how the consortium sets up the program, if you can get into more maybe complex or costly solutions for a given home, but then your pot of money, can be depleted more quickly. So you might, instead of potentially being able to service, 40 homes, you might only be able to do 20, something like that, kind of just a trade-off of the range and cost of solutions that you might want to implement under the program versus the number of sort of lower cost options to be able to address more homes.
Yeah, maybe you say that the grant is limited to like 20,000 per home, and we'll identify a feasible solution. You can have this much. If it's more than that, you'll need to figure out the gap. So that a lot of that is just going to be, I would say maybe in about 9 months, it would be worth having that conversation. If we keep getting good answers and it keeps moving forward and it seems like we might get a federal budget, then I think it's worth it to sit down and be like, okay, how do we actually want this to structure this program?
I think that's fair, and I think in 9 months we'll know a lot more than we know now, right?
Let's hope so.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I mean, I think the key here, as we talked about last month, is it just moves us one step closer with another group that's affected. We kind of have those kind of 3 big pockets we talked about, the ones close to municipal system, the ones that live close together but not in a municipal system, maybe we build their own system, and then the other group that is very individualized and and lots of unknowns. And this, if we get this, that's a big if, right? If we were to get this funding, it would actually allow us to do some stuff that we haven't really been able to consider yet because of the private upgrades. So
And the one of them was based on income, that's number 2, and the first one wasn't, is that correct?
yes.
Correct. So I'll just do a shout out for Andrew Cutler and say, fight for us, Andrew. We appreciate your efforts. I see you there on the call.
I will do everything I can.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, any more questions on any of those 2 projects? Okay, update and report from the new managing director.
That's me.
That would be you.
So I did include obviously a kind of a full write-up. I don't know if you read that or not, but I'll just hit on some highlights. I have been drinking from the proverbial fire hose to get myself caught up to speed on several things. So one thing in particular, well, I'll show this now. Can you pull up the link? I was working on, yeah, I emailed it to you. I've been working on a new website. So again, I kind of broke up a lot of my tasks into kind of 4 areas, but one of those, of course, is administrative tasks. And Matt and I have met several times, and so working on a handful of things, but one of those is a new website. And we'll have Valerie pull that up, and it's not done yet, but it's a start. So we'll have a dedicated website. We do have a dedicated domain and email address now too for the consortium. I'll have more of this all detailed out probably next, at our next meeting, but this is what the new site looks like.
Sorry, 1 second, just sharing my screen. Okay.
And, she can kind of page down. Not all of, I mean, technically all those links are live, but there's not much information on some of them. So it's got, you know, just some really basics and stuff, but it's something dedicated for us that's not specifically tied to the Morrow County site. And it'll give me more flexibility with putting information out and whatnot. So
That was the new email.
no, the email I gave you was the SIPs, copies of the SIPs, but I can push out this site too. This is still a work in progress, so.
It's a long email though.
Oh yeah, the domain, I had to fish for a domain that wasn't already owned by someone else, so. Click on the board of directors, that one's mostly done. This, you can show everybody their pictures, see if they like them or not. I had to find pictures. Some of you had to find them on social media.
You're sleuth.
But I think the other ones are not, let's see, meetings, partners. Yeah, there's not really much to click on the other ones. They're just a list of links at this point, nothing pretty, so.
So one of the things is he's been working on that. He'll be taking a bunch of the information from like the West Haven and the other things that are residing on the county website currently and get those on this one. So that this will be clean and we can keep those there, but we'd really like to make this the standard for it so people can go to it. In fact, once he gets those, we'll likely change the county's website just to refer it to this. It'll just link into this one to make it sure it's the main point of contact. Other things, board meetings, we'll still use the county software for right now, but we want to make sure there's links on this website. So it's all, this is the portal, more or less, as we get there.
Yeah. If you click on board meetings now, it just takes you to the county page, only because I'm gonna start moving stuff over and
So you didn't have to outsource this, you do web creation on your own?
I use a program.
Okay, very good. No, I'm impressed. It looks
So-
nice.
It's like anything, the more you play with it, the quicker you get back, better you get at it, I guess, so.
Nice.
So are we going to have to log in?
No, that's for me,
Just for you, okay.
and I don't really know, I can probably remove that, I'm not sure. Like I said, I'm still building this, so, and took me a little bit to get some pictures from some people, I appreciate their help with that, and, yeah, more to come. So part of the administrative tasks, also, been meeting lots of people. In fact, this morning I just attended, well, the day after we met last time, I met with the Port of Morrow commissioners, went to their meeting. This morning I met with H2O and also, well, in anticipation of this, I also went to Water Day at the Capitol, and there met J.R. Cook with NAWA, and also, well, continued my relationship building with some of our representatives and senators and some of that additional work. So again, just meeting lots of people, trying to put faces to names, and also hopefully introduce myself. Another priority, of course, is our funding priority, which Nick also obviously just presented on with the SIP requests. We also had a meeting this last week with which I think you're going to talk about a little later, right?
For the SIP?
The SIP funds, which Matt will talk about. So we met with the governor's office about that. And then next week, I actually, not specific for this, I'm taking two of my kids. I used to bring kids to an East Coast trip when I was a teacher. And so as my kids have gotten older, I told them I'd pay for them to go with their school group, or I would take them, and they've opted for me to take them. So it's my youngest two's turn, if you will. And so I'll be taking them there. But while I'm there, I figured, hey, I've been there over a dozen times. And so during some of that time, I'm going to go spend it in, I've already arranged appointments with Senator Merkley and Senator Wyden's offices to advocate specifically for our SIP projects, and to answer questions with because they have different staff there, obviously, than our staff here, though they work really well together. It's just another opportunity to connect and put us at the front of their minds. So, and then, of course, the last thing is most important is how we put pipes in the ground. Ultimately, this is always our goal. And so I've been learning about a lot of these different projects and some of the stuff that's already been done, the feasibility studies, the roadmap project, and some of the other ideas. Of course, our current priority, I would say the one that's closest to being there, as we know, is the West Glen area. And we've already had some conversations this last week with Brandon and some other people kind of about those next steps. And that's actually on our agenda today to talk a little bit about. So hopefully we'll be one step closer after tonight or within the next couple of months with moving forward on that next project. And then I'll say, just looking ahead at our next meeting next month, I do plan to propose two budgets actually. One for this remaining fiscal year, so just the last quarter, April through June, and then one fiscal year 27 budget. So I'll have those to you by April 1st. And then I also want to talk about starting again next month. This will be next agenda, how we can best utilize the advisory committee. And then, of course, an upgrade, hopefully an update on our Glen Creek project. So, but that's my report.
What's the Glen Creek project?
West Glen.
West Glen. Oh, man.
It was written in there too, and I thought,
I don't know. I don't know where Glen Creek came up, but
It sounds really pretty.
it does sound like a nice place.
West Glen. happens when you type it in once and then all of a sudden in your brain it's that, but no, West Glen,
Okay,
sorry, my
okay.
bad, West Glen. So, and then of course I'm reading off that note, but I did actually drive out to West Glen today, in between, well, after one of my meetings this morning and excited to start engaging the neighbors up there. So
Did you today?
I did, yeah, I went out there this afternoon. So I didn't stop at anyone's houses. I didn't want to scare anybody or anything. But yeah.
So you're gonna talk about the city stuff under the next one.
You also didn't list the county, but you spent a fair amount of time with county staff.
Oh, yes. No, there's a lot of people I met, county, the port folks, yeah, no, I didn't list everybody, but and they've all been very gracious and very, I don't know if excited is the right word, or I know Matt's very eager to hand some stuff off to me, so.
Sure.
No, but it's been good, and they've been very full of information and resources that I mean, even on the website, you'll see the history of Luguama, and if you haven't seen the story map for that was created by Stephen, I encourage you to go click on that. There is more information there than you would ever need. But again, it's powerful, and it gets to it gets us. One thing I keep having in my conversations with everybody, even this morning, the one wonderful thing about this specific commission is its goal is to put pipes in the ground to get people clean water. That is its goal. Why that needs to happen are for debates for other people and other groups and other things. And agriculture and industry and economics and all those other very important things for the region. But the goal of this commission is to get clean drinking water to the residents of the affected residents of unincorporated Morrow County. And so I think some of those pieces, it's easy to get lost in that and in that shuffle and the blame or who's going to pay for it. Or we here in this consortium, I'm not saying those things aren't important, but here, and what you hired me to do is to get people clean water, to get them, find ways to do so cost effectively and as soon as possible. And so that's what I'm excited about. And is also, again, the benefit of this consortium, because I can say just that when people start to ask, well, what else are you going to do for this? I'm like, I'm not doing that. Like, that's not the purpose of this consortium. Our purpose is that, H2O and NAWA and some other groups are doing some good work around those things and coordinating those things, and they're wonderful partners, but we get to focus on really just one of their three goals. And that's getting clean drinking water to people. So
You said you're gonna be in DC next week?
yeah.
What days?
Well, I leave on Tuesday.
Okay.
And I'll specifically, my appointments are at the Capitol on Friday.
Okay.
And you're meeting with Senate staff, but not rep.
Correct. The reps are, one of them is going to be in a town hall actually here in Oregon. And the other one, he might be available, but they are in session. So I made appointments specifically with the infrastructure staff. Because at this point, those are the key ones who are going to be feeding the information through the different subcommittees. So
Which office is giving you the
Merkley and Wyden are
capital tour?
the Capitol tour. Oh, well, I could give you a tour of the Capitol at this point. I've been there so many times, just again with student groups, and that's fun. Sometimes you get the Capitol guide service. Sometimes I arrange it with the Senate offices themselves, and those are kind of fun because they take you to other places. So, yeah.
Okay. Are you finished?
Yeah. Anything? Unless you had any other
Questions from anybody? the manager's report? No?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we will move on to the consideration of proceeding with engineering and studies for West Glen Community.
Yeah, well, he was actually on Dave, so.
Oh, yes, it was Dave and Dave. So, and I do want to just express apologies. Dave's up in Seattle. He was, had a planned, event up there and it got bumped up. So he went up there unexpectedly. So this next, business item is for consideration to proceed with the, RFP for engineering, for the West Glen. So Morrow is taking the feasibility study, that we've done with Myers Engineering and start, an RFP to engage with an engineer. We'd like to do this. I mean, one of the biggest things we have from the community feedback was you don't have all the answers. We're not going to have that until we have the engineering totally in and secured the connection with the Boardman City. And you mentioned that. I'll bring that right back in a second. And so, what we're looking to do and what I'd like to do is pull up an RFP, pull in GSI to review the RFP and get that out. If the board would like to review that, we could hold off on that, but we would like to start working on that. And pretty much implement what Myers Architecture and Engineering provided as a base point to start. This, as we do that, we can get that taken care of. Then we can approve if we want to proceed with that contract and continue outreach on that. 2 items, as you mentioned, Boardman City, there's been unfortunately use of rhetoric on, the county's connection and or working with the negotiations for the connection on that. I'm meeting with actually Mayor Keeper tomorrow, and we're just going to talk through some of those items. There's several options that can be done. This will impact a little bit on the engineering, not really. It comes down to, a valve, a master valve or no master valve, and but the water coming from Boardman City. In essence, while there has been some rhetoric thrown around, largely because of some frustrations with the TSP plan that's been required to have some additional hearings because of some resident involvement. We're going through that, and Boardman has just had some frustrations on that, so we're going to work through that. I'm meeting with Mayor Kiefer. We're going to bring Jared into that meeting after the first one because I just want to chat with some other things on that. But we're going to talk about the three options, get his buy-in, and then go and present to the whole council and have them take an official option of which direction they want to do. Those directions are, as a special district created where it wouldn't be a taxing district, it would be more or less a user fee district, which could be managed by a board from West Glen or just by the Board of Commissioners. That way, we're either contracting for the water and, contracting with someone to do the maintenance, or is it, the county just contracts with the city of Boardman to provide water to those areas, or if they just take the water as an extension of their system and use those as regular customers. There's pros and cons of each. The one where we put a big valve on and make the county or the Clean Water Consortium manage it is the easiest for Boardman. It's not the easiest for the other 2 entities. And so there's in between. I got my finance director shaking his head. Come on, a whole new department. Wouldn't that be fun? So we'll have those discussions tomorrow and be looking into that. Want to get on that and get that resolved in the next month or so with the council so we can have a clean determination as we proceed with engineering on which directions for connections and everything else in that way. So this is a big step, big policy kind of step on proceeding with this. I think between the engineering study and finalizing connection with Boardman City, that gives us the final pieces of the questions to really come to West Glen and say, here's exactly the impact for this option. And with the funding that we have from the state and other sources, I think they're going to start knocking on the door and asking us where we're at with the engineering and everything, and I'd like to get permission to work with Jared and with GSI to get that RFP rolling, if that's all right.
Do you need a motion to do that, or?
I would like a motion just to make sure we're good.
So
What direction?
the engineering that we did
Mhm.
before,
Was
is
about,
this a continuation of it? The same person,
no,
different person?
Well, I would say we're gonna go out to RFP for it. So that's what I'm asking for, is approval to proceed with RFP.
Okay.
And we would, I mean, if Myers wanted to come in again, fine, pros and cons to that. But this would be taking their 10% and going to more or less a 90%, if not a full design on that, understanding all the impacts that will be going through, making sure everything's good to go.
The Myers contracts were funded with those two Business Oregon grants, would consider the preliminary engineering feasibility, very high level, 10%.
Mhm.
So this would be much more
Yes.
advanced.
And I think
has his hand raised.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering about what the funding source was you guys were thinking about for the engineering. Was it going to be the state capital request lottery bond funds, or is there some alternate stuff available to throw at engineering right now?
So the lottery bonds that we have will not be available till 2027. We have a meeting with the contact with Oregon Business Department, and Jared and I, that was one of the contacts we've had. We have a follow-up call with them. We're gonna ask for arrangement if we can expend some of the Clean Water Consortium money and then reimburse from those funds when they come available next year. We also have the funds that we were looking at to pull from the Clean Water Consortium's basis. We had originally presented this project with about $500,000 coming from Clean Water Consortium funds. There's also, as we'll talk about on the next one, the SEP funds that could conceivably use for that engineering as well. So very cognizant of those lottery funds not being available until fiscal year 2027, unless we have an agreement in place to be able to borrow against or pay back those funds.
I have a question about Anderson Perry and the extension from the city and why that wouldn't be their engineering team doing that, if ultimately they could be the ones that are managing the customers. And it would have to meet their requirements coming into their system.
Those are several of the little pieces. Our original feasibility study with Myers actually had it going through the neighborhood, and I can't remember the name of the neighborhood right off the top of my head. It's the one east and north of the little high density development there off of Coonsey. We were planning to pull in there. We had a meeting from the county with them. They're looking to put new pipe down Paul Smith Road to the west, which would allow us to provide services there and bring it through Coonsey. So we've already started these conversations. There's a little bit back and forth on who should be paying for these things. So those are all part of the negotiation and discussion on that. So as we do that, I mean, we also had planned to loop the system, which would mean we're taking the water down Coonsey and then back up Main Street to hook in right east of Tuscany development. Now that's out of West Glen area, but it creates a loop so we have circulation of water and we don't have a buildup of those fun little items that like to eat the chlorine and stuff. I can't remember the name of those, but having that loop helps keep the water fresh and pressurized there in West Glen.
I have a follow-on question to Lisa. Is it an option for us? I mean, this is an extension of the city's water system, and I know Mike Lease, I think he's on the call.
Is he? I could have just asked him.
And yeah, I maybe not. Is it an option to do an IGA with the city and have the city's own engineer design those options and reimburse the city?
Conceivably.
Yes.
We-
Mike
we-
knows it. Mike is the city's engineer. He knows it.
On that one is just, we'd have to check with the funding source. to make sure that that would be allowable.
Okay.
I mean, this is an engineering services, which would definitely be over $100,000, which typically triggers the requirement to go out for bid.
But if it's an IGA, government to government, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's our procurement versus bailiwick.
That's a question.
For an IGA,
It's not,
you don't have to do any procurement. It's not-
okay,
Yeah.
that would save some steps and some money probably. I would ask, I mean, I would ask the city what their preference is. And maybe there are other, maybe they just, and Mike is busy, maybe they prefer that we have a separate independent person, or maybe they prefer that it's Mike. He's already familiar, so the learning curve, it won't be steep.
Mhm. And, you
And he
know,
also
That's what
just,
I would prefer.
and he also just completed that. I think it's their water feasibility report, so he
Yes.
knows what the capacity is for the next 20 years and where the water is coming from and water rights and all of that. That might be better.
mhm.
You know, I don't wanna micromanage, I just think it might be an option.
And that's part of their project coming down Paul Smith, between Wilson and Coomsey, is to provide increased water pressure to some of those dense communities right there along Paul Smith. And so, we're having some of those discussions, so figuring out the final commitment from the city of Boardman, and then incorporating their designs with whatever designs we need to take over are part of the final discussions that we need to get through.
Okay.
So with that, we'd love to get an RFP out there so we can get an engineer on our side to make sure whether that's for the IGA or whatnot. And if we want to start creating an RFP and pull back if we have that IGA, or if we want to wait till,
I would like to wait,
I would
okay,
like to
because
wait.
I don't think we need to go out for an RFP
okay,
on our own.
Not only that, I think that after your meeting, I want to hear what that meeting looks like
okay.
before we expend any money.
That makes a lot of sense.
I've got that meeting tomorrow, and so we can give a report at the next meeting and let you know. That'll probably be a first meeting, and there'll be a follow-up meeting, but we can handle those before the next board meeting with this, I believe.
Does that slow you down? Or is that?
Technically, it slows us down a month,
Mike
but
said it's a
also
whole
we
bunch of money.
can,
Yeah.
we can work and determine if the IGA between the city and the Clean Water Consortium, whatever, would help facilitate things without going through that. Like I said, I also have the conversation with the Business Oregon, who's managing the grant funds, and we can ask them that up front.
Okay.
Nick has his hand up.
Yep, just to save you a step on that, because I've asked Business Oregon the same thing about reimbursement for these lottery bonds. And essentially you have to go through DAS, and DAS is the one that will give you kind of a thumbs up or thumbs down on whether you can use. I would suggest, like, could reach out and be like, we want to spend $150,000-$200,000 of engineering now, and you can kind of float that, and they should be able to get in the realm of, well, no way, that's just not how it works, or yeah, everybody's doing that kind of thing. But I asked Business Oregon the same thing, and they said they administer it, but DAS is the one that gets to make that decision on the pre-award reimbursements.
What's that? What's
Department-
that?
Department of Administrative Services. So it's a
Yes.
state department.
Yeah.
So
I
Lisa,
thought there was a Z in there. I'm like, who's Daz?
I know. He's just being jazzy. You're just being jazzy today. Yeah.
don't we have to have the SEP money spent by,
And we need to use the SEP money,
So-
but
can we use it for this? For the engineering?
I would assume so. But, I mean, that's something that we can check on, but you've talked to
OHA?
OHA about stuff already.
Yes, and they need, so that's our next item, but what they're asking us to do is just to create a short summary of what we have intention to use that money for. And so our idea is to put it towards the West Glen project. And because that money would be available immediately, and we can get that construction going and have our design costs, and that's what we're looking to do. And so these two items really work hand in hand with it. But that's we've received notification, they've reached out to us. And we just wanted to report back on our conversation with them and, to say we'd like to, proceed and implement that on the West Glen community.
And that
Project.
needs to be spent by when?
I hadn't been given a deadline. You see, they didn't mention on that.
Unless it was a deadline.
Well,
We have a deadline. yeah.
I don't know the answer to that. It could be September. I know that our next report from them is not due till March 31 on what they've spent for the last year.
Do you have,
And they
do
spent-
you have an idea of how much is left?
$581,000 is what they've told us.
Does that include what you're expecting on March 30th?
That's what they told us that we could use. There might be more money available.
That's the
Beyond
amount
that.
that
That's
we've
the
been
amount
notified and
they've
contacted.
approved. Okay. All right. We'll reach out to them, but I'm not expecting until March 31 that we know what they've spent today.
So
Maybe
once they give it to us, then it's just kind of no sideboards, basically, unless, and just the little ditty that's going towards West Glen.
Summary, and technically, we actually talked with them where we had the SCP application before, and I'm like, do you want us to rewrite that and update it? And they're like, just give us a summary. So I'm just gonna pull from that other application. It was all dedicated to West Glen. And so, and take that summary out and put it for engineering and make that the emphasis since we have a deadline on spending on it. That would be the first thing we'd be.
And so DEQ is okay with this because we have to give a report at the end of where we spent all that money, and
It
if
will
it
be tickled
doesn't.
pink if we're solving a problem.
Okay.
OHA
Yeah.
reached out to us on this. This was them reaching out to us saying,
Nice.
we have received direction and approval
From
to,
DEQ.
yes.
Okay, I just don't want to get caught at the end and then we get to pay it back,
Yeah, oh, no, that would be horrible.
because that's one of the caveats of that money is you don't spend it how they tell you, then you get to pay it back.
That's why I was asking about the actual application, if we needed to be formal like that, and, so. So those are the things, if that's the, if you wanna wait on the RFP until we get a couple of these answers done correctly, I'm okay with that
That's
if
fine.
you are.
Yeah, I mean, and I didn't even think about an IGA with Anderson Perry, like.
Well, it would be with
Boardman,
the city
Boardman,
Boardman,
yes,
yeah,
but they,
yeah.
the fact that they already have the contract with Anderson Perry, and it makes perfect sense.
And actually, that would be nice to go into the mayor and say, you know, if this is feasible, we'll just have your own engineers help us, you know, do it. We'll pay for those services through you as the city and make it clean. So it's their system, they're designing logs. So that's an
A
easy,
win, another win.
easy conversation.
Do we have a budget for that process?
For the engineering, we actually have funds available for it. If we can use the SCP, that keeps our
Do we have
reserves
a-
up.
Do we have a set amount?
We know how much it would cost to do it.
Yeah, that's what I meant, more.
We projected about 25% of the project cost, so that would be about $500,000.
And we might save it. It might be a little bit less if the IGA comes to fruition, just because Mike is familiar and has done a lot of the work, but it depends, and the city can charge an overage for it as well. It just depends on what the city wants to do. I
So
mean, they
you're
can charge an overhead administrative services fee, which is an unusual.
So you're still planning on the project only costing 3 million?
Well, that's part of what the RFP, well, the engineering would help answer those. I mean, we're looking at, it was 2.85 from the state, an additional $500,000 from there. And then I think we had like $200,000 for the connection. So we were looking at 3.5. I mean, it's been a year since we've done that, so there's expenses. The nice thing is people say it's $1 million a mile for water line and everything. That's in improved corridors. One thing is West Glen's not improved. We aren't looking at restoring asphalt and sidewalks as we do work. And so that drastically reduces that cost. And so, You know, is it gonna be 3.5? I'd love to say it is, but I'm not, I only play an engineer around this table. And I don't have a stamp to put on in the papers. We'll be working on it. The nice thing is, it's not a water project. I know the pipes are expensive right now. I was very pleased with the estimates that we got from the circuit court, totally different project. We're actually under budget. And so if we get a good engineer team and good project management group going for us, I'm hoping we can keep this priced very affordable for the Clean Water Consortium to put pipe in the ground.
And for the residents, of course.
Yeah. Well, we're keeping the cost off the residents.
That's right, that's right. Well, that's right. There's the long-term costs, which I would. If the city is amenable and that's also their preference and we have that IGA. I would like to see the options that they would lay out. So the three options that you laid out here, you know, a valve, direct service, or something in between. And it's a little bit off, but I think it's related. I know some of the feedback I've heard, and I haven't been boots on the ground like many of y'all, but is our role strictly the water? And if we're trenching in water, are we gonna trench in anything else for future wet infrastructure? And would that be followed? Is there any expectation that the county might find funds to do some road improvements also?
We cannot do road improvements.
Well,
Well,
there is a formal process
There-
to bring a road into a county system, and the board would have to agree to it.
mhm,
And it'd have to be a separate funding source.
would be. And so as far as the Clean Water Consortium, no.
Oh, okay, yeah. But those questions are asked.
Yeah.
They have been, and they probably will
The
continue to be.
roads, from presentations I've had, even if you bring those roads in, they then don't qualify for the road tax, monies, even if we bring them in. It's weird. That's a weird thing about Oregon.
Mhm,
And so we would be bringing those roads in without a revenue source for ongoing maintenance, which would be interesting.
mhm.
So
How do other counties get around it? Cause sometimes it's,
they don't, they just keep their hands on. It's weird. I'd love to have those discussions and check those on those, but everything we've had at County College and AOC,
okay,
that those public access roads, while they're open, improving them and maintaining them, does not qualify as, for road taxes. They're unfortunately a legacy issue that no one wants to touch.
Is there any truth to the rumor that they're taking off the UGB off of West Glen?
Boardman does want to redistribute the UGB, and they would like to do it. I would, from the county side point, as well as Clean Water Consortium, I would love to help facilitate that as before, you know, during this engineering process, to just illustrate to the residents in West Glen that are concerned that this is an effort to make them annex, that is not a consideration. I know the city of Boardman is very interested in redistributing their UGB. They're looking into it. They've actually had very informal discussions with the county about supporting on that. And they would, you know, just to make things clear, they are very, very open to it, and
It's another
want to do
topic for a conversation with,
Yeah.
with Mayor Keith. Yeah.
well, I think they're linked, and I think before we get to yes with those residents, those are questions we're gonna want to have answered.
They are.
That's kind of one reason why we want to get the engineering done, so we can give answers too.
At
I
least
mean,
on that part, yeah.
They, like, you're right, you only need one, you need to answer one so you can answer the other, but we also need to answer one to answer the other, so we need to proceed, that's why we want to proceed with both tracks at the same time.
So are you going to ask Mr. Kiefer if that's going to go onto their agenda anytime soon? Or get a rate sheet out or?
So they are still working on the rates as far as what their discussions are. And so they're looking to try to get that finalized in the next month or so. From my understanding with the city manager, I'd like to bring that up with him tomorrow as well. And, we need the water rate, we need the connections type and the UGB. Those are three big ones on our question that impact the Clean Water Consortium.
And I guess we need a vote of their council. And that's what I'm waiting for before I spend money on engineering. Is to see that they are actually going to move this project forward, because it's not up to Mayor Kiefer. As much as Mayor Kiefer may think it's up to Mayor Kiefer, it's up to their board. And I haven't seen anything rattle through city government at all.
Well, I would hope that if we could get, make ground on, whether it's an IGA agreement or having a resolution on the, at one of their city council meetings in the near future, that would help demonstrate their, upon which standards they want to proceed. We need to get that clarified.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm just not comfortable spending that money until the vote of the
Mhm.
council comes through. And that's
Um,
gonna delay us if they don't.
They are having a special meeting on the 27th. I believe is the date.
21st.
21st.
There's some.
So,
Brandon's on.
Brandon's on the 21st, and that's part of their water discussion. So hopefully we'll have some more clarity after that, and hopefully we'll have a couple good meetings with Mayor Kiefer and possibly other council members as we get ready for their April.
So this is April 21st?
No, that's March 21st.
And that's a special meeting?
Yeah, I think work session, special week. Brandon, is that a special session or work session?
It's a work session. We're going to do a tour. So we're doing a retreat on the 21st. And then after we come back from the tour of the city, we're going to have a discussion of the couple things: nuisance, the fire safety, and then the water rates. It'll be posted on Thursday.
What did it say?
The meeting.
Oh, post on Thursday. But nothing will be finalized. When's your next council meeting?
It's April 7th.
Yeah.
And there's not currently another workshop scheduled for that meeting, right, as of now?
As of now, I want to see what happens on the 21st, see if we need to, again, do another workshop on the 7th. Again, they just want to get it right. I mean, we're trying to fix a rate system that is way outdated, and it's not anything to do with West Glen. It's our rate study. Once the rate study's done, then it's just clear what West Glen pays, or anybody outside the city. So.
And inside the city, right?
Right.
Or
Yep.
is that-
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Correct.
So the rate study is not complete? But that was a long time ago.
The analysis is complete. What the council is willing to charge, what they want to end up that's what we're talking about.
Okay, that makes more sense. I remember it was coming through a long time ago. Yeah. Anything else you have to add?
Nope.
Anything else
Just
you need
takes,
to know?
again, takes time to do this. And there is just a lot of things that are up in the air of how to make it happen, and just to make sure that in the long term, I mean, we can really help West Glen, but we don't want to hinder the city, and just need to make sure we do it right.
Brandon, we don't know how long you've been on the call, but the conversation about an intergovernmental agreement and engineering services, does that make sense to you?
Yeah, and again, it's totally up to the county. I mean, it's a county project, not a city project. But yeah, I've been on the whole time. So yeah, whatever the county ends up wanting to do with it, I don't have a problem with that. Again, Mike,
And-
obviously, like you said, he knows the most about it, the city.
And he does say county, just to clarify roles on this. I mean, the county has certain abilities with special districts, all those things, so I don't want to take those off the table on that. This would be in conjunction, of course, with Clean Water Consortium. And so there are some decisions that would have to be made. Anything that if the county were to do something, we'd want to come back to the Clean Water Consortium and get your stamp of approval before having them take any of those steps, for sure. But there are specific things that the county would have to be included on for a water system outside the city.
So Kevin, I know that he said you rolled your eyes, so I wanted to hear if the county decided to do, I'm gonna call it a service district, is that, it's not really going to be a special district, would it be, or would it just be a service district? Do you have any insight county-wide how those things are going to happen?
Not. I have a very general understanding, so Matt probably actually has a better understanding of what that would look like.
In talking-
Essentially,
Yeah.
you know, at that point, we're running a utility. And, just changes complexity a little bit for
When Greg Goebel was here,
administration.
oh, I'm sorry, I figured it out. When Greg Goebel was here, he was assistant DA and assistant county counsel. He did a presentation to the Water Advisory Committee. You may have been in that meeting, and I still have those slides someplace. So his report, if you will, was a slide deck. I can share that with you.
I think they're on the webs. Are they on the website?
For the Water Advisory Committee, maybe. I mean, you've been sleuthing, so good for you. Okay. No, that's good. I just don't want that work to go to waste if it's helpful.
Yeah. So, if we were to have to form it, I mean, it could be just done by an
Act of God, is that what you're gonna say?
no.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
It could be done by resolution of the board of commissioners, just outright to create something if it's not a taxing district. They could create a taxing district for public health, but that's a pretty extreme push. The other one is a special district could be created with the West Glen, with the size of it, with 100% participation. We'd have to get 100% approval to form a special district on the ballot. BOC could do it and just form it. If we were to do it, there's a couple other counties that I've talked with where they have created districts and provided water outside of UGB and city limit areas, and they either work with the cities to do an out of city agreement and help with the infrastructure, or they create a special district and contract with the city to either provide provide the water for sure and provide maintenance on that. And so it becomes a little bit of a finance who owns the system compared to who's maintaining it. And that would all be laid out in a contract, IGA setup. I've actually been involved in all three of the options and in different municipalities, not in Oregon. So we need to polish it up for Oregon requirements. They all have their pros and cons. That's one of the things again, I'm meeting with Mayor Kiefer as an initial. We're hoping to be able to smooth and figure out and answer his questions and then make a presentation to the city council for their full understanding and consideration.
So where would the funding source come from for this service district that the county utility that the county would have? Where would the funds come from?
If it is, it'd be, I mean, Clean Water Consortium would do the infrastructure to get set up, and then it would be based on user fees, your water rates. It would be a utility in that way.
It'd be separate. Yeah, my head shake was purely selfishness on my part because it did not affect the work that great. But yeah, it would be a separate enterprise fund and managed as a separate entity.
And it all depends.
Well, not just that, I mean, that's a huge responsibility
Yeah.
to take on maintenance of a sewer system or a water system that you're not used to operating. It would be much more efficient if the city would do that at that,
If the city's
enhanced fee.
Yeah, and so, and those are some of the considerations that we need to go, and we need to make it so it's a right fit for the city of Boardman. And that it doesn't negatively impact the water delivery to the West Glen community. There's options, and if we can get those options nailed down, the water rate, the UGB moved, and those are all big, I don't want to say mysteries, but still not totally locked down questions.
So when
we're hoping to
Brandon's
get.
going to give us that rate, is that rate going to include if the city did do maintenance and service? And if the city didn't do maintenance and service?
So the rates that they would adopt would be an in-city and an out-of-city. So we'd know if it's just pulled as an out-of-city service, we would know exactly how much is going to be charged right then and there. If it's a contracted thing where we're contracting with the city, it's all negotiations. We buy the water at what rates we and the city can work out, and then we figure out the maintenance either through a separate contract or hiring 5 or 6 more people, which we don't want to do, and boiling that down into a rate. And so, like I said, there's easy answers and there's more difficult. We're hoping to get some, medium easy answers that work out well for all parties included.
Okay. Anybody else have questions? No? Anybody else online? Any of the advisory commission have any questions? All right.
So as of right now,
Oh, Kelly, we do,
Kristen, go ahead.
oh, yeah, are you moving to public comment? I'm sorry, I may have preempted
Oh.
you.
Not yet.
Okay, thanks.
so
Got my
as
hand
of
up.
as of right now, we will not proceed with the RFP pending other items. For the SEP, I will write the summary saying this will go to cover engineering for the West Glen project. So we'll get those working if that's consensus.
Do you need a vote on the SEP part from us?
Be nice, a motion.
So,
So you have a very concerned look.
No, because I'm dealing with
Oh.
2 other things right now too, so. You just want to move forward on the SEP draw.
Yes, providing summary to
OHA.
in OHA to allow us to secure the funds.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I would entertain a motion for that.
okay, I'll make a motion authorizing Matt and Jared to move forward with, drawing funds, for the Supplemental Environmental Project, for use for engineering with West Glen. That covered?
Do we want to specify engineering only?
Let's see, engineering and or,
I would
for
make it as
planning?
broad as possible.
I would think that too.
Okay, transferred to the CWC for planning, engineering and or constructions. And or construction, so if there's funds.
I would even go broader, maybe West Glen projects. Or,
I mean, I can write it saying, we're gonna start with engineering and whatever's left will, there might be. The way it's set up over there, I don't think there'll be any right of way acquisition, but there's a little bit of everything and anything over there,
Sure.
So I would say planning, design, construction of the West Glen community.
And
Water
and
infrastructure
design is
project.
engineering, planning, engineering, design and construction, okay.
do I have a
Did you
second?
get that, Valerie?
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous.
You seconded,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, and then the other pieces, okay, nice work, good. A lot of work, thank you.
And, I spoke a lot on those last 2. My goal is over the next 2 or 3 meetings to be suddenly sitting over there and letting this big guy take it. I do want to say, I appreciate, Jared's jumping in and taking the bull by the horns. He's really like you've noticed, He's been doing his research, he's jumping in, and he's really excited about the applicable goals and aspirations that the Clean Water Consortium has. So I will enjoy sitting on the back row seat in time to come.
If you can let it go.
Okay, moving on, other business. Anybody, advisory committee? Words on the street?
Actually, I brought this up after, the meeting last month. I wanted to bring it up on the record. It's a little bit unclear what total, expenditures are gonna be for the current fiscal year, but I would encourage the board to consider engaging with an audit firm once the expenditures pass the $250,000 mark. You don't have to do a full financial audit, but you do have to do it, what's called perform the agreed upon procedures. Which is a modified, simpler form, but something that will have to be conducted by a licensed municipal auditor in the state of Oregon. So if you think that there's potential, I would encourage you to solicit an audit firm.
We'd probably be under that limit unless we start engineering, and then we'll bust through that pretty quick.
Yeah.
So, and hopefully
So we're hoping by
May or June,
2027.
we would have some engineering started. I don't know if it would hit that 250. Might be shy of that, but
That's 250.
Where are we at now?
Like 30,000 or so.
yeah, we've got more or less Nick Dakota's full amount. We've got a little bit of engineering, and we'll have Jared's coming through and little cost per website and other things like that. So we did.
We're
24,000.
yeah, we're definitely gonna be under it, and we're anticipating.
Is the 250 calendar or fiscal year? Or federal?
Fiscal.
Fiscal, okay. And so did we decide if we're a calendar year, if our fiscal year is calendar?
We
or
were
are we the
running
same?
fiscal.
Okay.
formed.
June, not local fiscal, not federal fiscal?
Yes,
Okay, got it.
but with the fiscal year 27 budget that we'll be bringing, we will be including a
So
full
we'll
audit
have to find an auditor.
cost
Okay.
because we won't be
Once you
spending.
cross the 1 million, then you have to go to a full financial audit. So if you're heading that way, it may be best to engage sooner than later. There's not a lot of responses to RFPs for municipal audits right now. It's pretty slim picking out there.
And that is a RFP thing, not a.
That's a good practice. I think you could probably direct hire it.
So I got a question on this, because I don't know. The $1 million that you said, does that include the grants that are coming in? What's the $1 million mark?
That's total expenditures.
Oh, expenditures, not income or.
Yeah, so we've we've received from Pres.
Yeah,
Yeah,
from
over
that.
the million, that's what I was.
Yes, it's
that's-
expenditures.
Okay, expenditures only, okay.
We're over $2 million. Well, pretty close to two. Well, no, we're over $2 million with funds already.
Okay.
And then with commitments, we're well over that. So
Okay.
it's just when we start spending those
Spending the
funds.
money, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right, got it. Okay. Anything else? All right, public comment. Kristen, I know you wanted to speak, you had your hand up.
Hi, thanks. Thanks very much. Appreciated the conversation today, especially the conversation about where folks are with West Glen and the city of Boardman and possible special or service districts, et cetera. So I just wanted to take the opportunity tonight to put on the record the West Glen neighborhood's interest and expectations that they communicated during the meetings from the summer through the fall. And it's been 5 months since that last meeting in October, and have not seen those meetings have been summarized or available publicly. So again, just wanted to take the opportunity tonight to kind of set those expectations and put those on the record. And then be interested in questions afterwards, if folks have questions. So first of all, the West Glen United have set representatives, and they're most interested in speaking with you directly as the decision makers in this particular project. Their expectations are one, first of all, that they did not pollute their wells, and they're most interested and expect to be able to get clean, safe water to drink from their taps. And secondly, that they've already paid and they're not going to pay again. They don't want to have to pay twice. They've already paid with their health, their property values, digging deeper wells, well maintenance, filters, etc. And so they're expecting to be put back in the same place that they were before the harm. And again, interested in meeting with you as decision makers. Heard a lot of talk about possible water rates and monthly bills. And so they just want to be very clear that they're not interested in paying twice. Look forward to learning how the Water Consortium can help meet those expectations. Interested in particular questions that you may have at this point.
So I have a question. Hi, Kristen.
Tammy.
So tonight you are the spokesperson. How do we make that meeting happen so we can sit with those people face to face unless you are their spokesperson?
Sure. So representatives were working when you have this meeting. So you've had these meetings before in the evening. So that's one way we can begin, is to maybe schedule a meeting of this body when folks are not working.
And can you provide us a list of the representatives? I've made a request and still haven't received any response on representatives.
Yeah, we can work with you on that if we can be setting a meeting with this body. And it sounds like you're getting some additional answers to some questions, or at least some better understanding of some options in your meetings the next couple of weeks with the city of Boardman, and taking a look at special and service districts. And so maybe we can be looking, out a month or so, 2 months, depending on when you have some of the answers to those questions.
So Kristen, is there representatives then?
Yes.
You said that there are, so who,
Yes.
And who are they?
who are they?
Yeah, we've got 5 representatives, and I think when we're ready to set a meeting, we can share with you all those representatives.
So do you have the list now?
Yes, I do.
You just don't want to share it.
That's right. Yep. They're interested in whether you are willing to kind of look at that expectation that they're not going to be paying twice. And a lot of the conversation tonight and a lot of, looking for dollars is related to taxpayer dollars, governments and loans, which makes a lot of sense for pipes in the ground. Their particular situation is that they're not interested in paying for additional water bills. And so we have to kind of think through how they do not have to pay twice.
So what's our,
So
Justin Green raises hand. Yeah, I'm just not sure how we move forward with that. I mean, I'm willing to meet at a time. I'm not sure how to figure out that time, but if we, as the board, sit down with those 5 people, I'm happy to do that.
and I would like to meet with them first, to be honest, so.
Sure, I would support that.
That was the commitment that I was given at that 3rd meeting. They asked if I would negotiate. I have asked for that opportunity, but the response is they'd rather meet with you directly.
Yeah, and I think maybe there was a misunderstanding, Matt, but they're interested in meeting directly with the decision makers. So it's just very clear that you all, as you're looking for dollars, are understanding where they're coming from and what their expectations are.
I would clarify, Kristen, because you asked repeatedly to me, are you willing to meet with representatives to negotiate? You asked about 3 times and I said yes.
Yeah,
And so that was directed specifically to me. And in my response, I said, yes, I'd still love to. I'd love to facilitate, but I'd like to meet and get an understanding of what West Glen United is so we can make an informed and advised recommendation to this body and any other bodies that are to be engaged.
Okay. Is the consortium not willing to meet with the representatives directly?
You won't even give us their names.
That's
they're private, that's not Kristen's place to get.
I
that.
guess I assumed that Jared would be meeting with every single resident of.
Yeah, I was planning on it anyway, so I will be meeting with residents, whether I'm gonna do that individually. But I would love to just know who is spearheading the lead, if you will, as well, because like anything else, they're the ones I want to talk to too, so.
Sure, and Jared, I hope
You
you
don't
have a
want to give me names, that's fine. I'm still gonna go talk to the residents of West Glen, so.
Sure, and Jared, welcome you to the team and look forward to you kind of catching up with the conversations that took place, and particularly, 2 large meetings of West Glen residents, and the overall message was, we did not pollute our wells, and we are wanting to be put back into the place before the harm was created to our water. And so we've already paid with our health, we've already paid with our lost property values, we've already paid with well maintenance, drilling deeper wells, some of them with additional filters, and that they don't want to have to pay again. And so are there some creative ideas that this consortium can begin to think about for being able to reach out to others, to be reaching out to the sources of the nitrate for donations, for contributions, to be helping pay for any kind of water bill if an extension takes place?
Well, I'm certainly willing to meet with their group, so I don't know. But we do have to do it after they're off work. They do work.
I think, as Kristen said, looking at a possible meeting in a month or 2 after we get some finalized information from the city might be
Yeah, there's no
helpful.
sense in doing it until we have.
So maybe we hold off and say, an interest in doing so, but it might be, end of May, June before we have those conversations, so we can have full information, or at least fuller information than we have right now.
Jared wants to set up a meeting with us. I guess
I would do that.
Yeah, Lisa.
I'm concerned. I guess I'm fine having another meeting. It's another meeting. I'm just concerned about the fact that we really should be meeting individually with homeowners, because it's individual decisions on putting the system in. And what their decisions are as individual homeowners on what they're willing to do.
And Jared's gonna meet with all of the homeowners.
That was the plan all along, I think.
Yeah.
So I think that was the commitment, and Matt representing the consortium during those outreach meetings, that was the commitment that the community thought it had received from the Water Consortium. Matt, speaking on your behalf, that you'd be willing to negotiate with West Glen United, which is the organization that's been put together by the majority of West Glen neighbors who have selected representatives to meet with you directly to continue to sort out what's a creative idea to make sure that they're not having to pay twice.
So I don't want to get caught up in semantics, and I get it that these people have purchased their homes and they have wells. And they don't want to, that's their business model or their household model. And they don't want to have to now pivot and pay for water because they think their current water is free. And we could do a cost benefit analysis to quantify what free means.
Yeah, I might know, Tamara, I don't think they think their water is free. I think that they pay for wells and maintenance, et cetera. So I'm not sure they would see it as free. They're paying for it in a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm tracking most of it. I just don't know how we get there, because the funding that we have is for that capital investment. And if you have ideas, Kristen, or the people you're representing have ideas about how that would work, it'd be helpful for you to communicate that with us as well. I don't know of any other models. I don't know of any models where an entity has extended water to a neighborhood without cost to those landowners. I mean, that's a pretty heavy lift, and that's what this group is committed to do, and we think we have enough money to do that, but that long-term operating expense to pay for a city service, it means it wouldn't have to operate their wells, at least in terms of for drinking water in the household.
I'm thinking it's not a whole big lot of money that they're asking for. If you start doing the math, you know, comes out to $360,000 a year
For everybody
in West Glen to pay for their water. That doesn't seem like a heavy lift for this area.
$360,000 to pay for, what is it, 80 households?
I think I did 100, so I might have done 80.
Okay.
So
It
Tamara,
seems like-
Tamara, there are 102 households. Yeah, I think I think there are some ways that we can maybe again be a bit more creative and thinking about how do we make sure that these folks can be put back into the same place they were before they were harmed and their groundwater is polluted. And in some ways, looking at the cost of water for X number of years, or looking at, there could be a variety of ways that we could kind of try and come to evaluation of that. It's probably going to be a lot less than the infrastructure that you're looking at for some of those dollars. So I think we just need to be able to kind of begin to have those conversations. But their interest, their expectation is that they should not have to pay again.
I was thinking when we were talking about, SIP agreements and PRES agreements and things that you could build those kind of financing into, this program.
So it's,
just an idea, just a creative thought.
Well, Kristen, I know you are very focused on West Glen. We are focused on, of course, West Glen, as well as the other 1,000 or so households that are affected by the nitrate. So is that the expectation too? That so it's just West Glen? Because I would be greatly concerned with us advocating for one group to get everything, and then what? What about for everybody else?
West Glen United has membership all over. It's more, I'm going to say, and we talked about that even in the group setting, is it's more of a movement than it is a place. It's trying to get clean water for everyone in Morrow County, not just West Glen. It started in West Glen, and maybe it started there because we picked that spot first. But it's a movement. I mean, we've got West Glen signs popping up in Hermiston and Umatilla and those areas. So the outreach,
Yeah, so even better. So again, you're basing that $360,000 or $300,000 a year based on 80 residents.
Yep.
But aren't we really talking about over 1,000 households
in Morrow County?
In Morrow County. So that number is actually not.
You put zeros on it and add up.
Yeah, we're talking millions of dollars. Yeah. It would be the commitment.
Yeah.
So, and I also just want to be careful about the purview of the consortium. What is the written goal of the consortium to get people clean water?
Yeah,
that is its goal.
Jared, that's why when you put those specific bounds on it, and I said this before, and you mentioned it again, that it's not political, it's not emotional, it's not.
Oh, it is. It's all of those things.
All of those things. So we, again, putting pipes in the ground is just the easy approach to say that we don't have to incorporate any of those other things. And I keep saying all of those things are so important to the people. Not anybody can engineer a project and put a pipe in the ground without any emotion or any financial burden on themselves or their time or their money, their families. But we really need to take a look at, just saying that we're putting pipes in the ground when there's all kinds of other social issues that need to be taken care of. And they're fragile issues.
Yeah,
And they've been
this
going on for a
this really
while, so
starts.
yeah.
So, hi, Jared. We have not had a chance to meet yet, so look forward to
No,
meeting.
we've reached out, but
Again, welcome
Yeah.
to the team, Jared, and look forward to you learning a little bit more about what community members have been saying over time. So yes, there are community members throughout the Laguama who are directly impacted, who are interested in getting some resolve. Absolutely. The West Glen neighborhood is a neighborhood that is organized for the next step, because the county was looking at West Glen as a first next step. And they're just really committed to trying to figure out with you all, how they should not have to pay again. And I just think it's really important, for us as we sit in, and I sit, behind this computer, and you sit there. We have our regular jobs. We get paid to be here tonight. These folks are not paid to kind of sort through these issues. Their water was polluted at no fault of their own. And so we need to really take seriously what their interests are, what their expectations are, what their needs are, and work with the polluters who have created this problem to get a resolve.
And this is Justin
Sure.
Green. I'm the executive director of Water for Eastern Oregon, and just really appreciate all the work the consortium is doing. I'm really excited by the progress that's being made, especially with getting Jared on board and really giving this process the caring and nurturing that it deserves. I do have to remind everybody that causation of the pollution has absolutely not been determined in any way at all. Implying pollution was imposed on other people is completely inappropriate in my opinion at this point. So we can agree to disagree on that. What we're focusing on obviously is public health. We want to make sure that everybody has a voice in this. I love Kristen's throughout this whole process for the last 4 years, her focus on making sure the public involvement is there. We totally share that commitment. I know the consortium does as well. But we're talking causation. That's going to be determined in another forum, and there's not a conclusive definition of that right now. So just want to remind everybody of that, but just really also express my great appreciation for all the work that's going on by everybody. This is a community. We're neighbors, we're friends, we're family, and we're not going to agree on everything, but there's a lot of forward progress here, and I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks, Justin. And I'll just note that the EPA, in a letter to the state in July of 2022, specifically noted that asked for the state to reach out to those who are causing the pollution to be a part of the solution in getting clean water to folks, both on an emergency side and on a permanent side. So we have some support from the EPA to continue to sort through how those who contribute to the pollution can contribute to the solutions.
Once again, it's not about us. It's about the people and their public health, and we can have disputes on who contributed to the pollution, but I really am really impressed with our ability to work together to provide solutions for folks, and look forward to continuing to help that effort, and really look forward to working with you more, Kristen. Thank you.
Okay. From now on, we'll raise our hand and be called on. Is there any more public comment besides those who've already spoke? All right. Anything for the order? Hold on, Kristen. I'm going to cut you off there and hold your thoughts for the next meeting.
I'm just wondering if there's a resolution to the request to be meeting.
Well, my opinion is that happened during public comment, so we're not supposed to react to that, but our director can take it under advisement and make a recommendation at our next meeting. Boom, boom, since you're doing so much work, Jared, so.
I have it noted.
So it sounds like Jared will be scheduling a meeting or bringing it up to the board for discussion at the next meeting with concerned citizens and possibly moving the time frame to a better time for them to meet. If that's
Or even a special meeting to.
That's what I'm thinking, not change this
Yeah.
entirely, but just
Okay.
a special meeting one time, maybe.
So Jared will be putting that onto the agenda for discussion at the next meeting. Okay. All right. Any other business? All right, we will adjourn. It is 4 minutes to 6.
Very steep line.